Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I am going to be sharing with you 10 baby names that I love but will not be using. So I've seen this video going around quite a bit on YouTube, and when I first thought about it, I was like, there's no way I have 10 names that I love but I'm not going to use. And then I was talking with my husband and we came up with 10 pretty easily actually. I just hadn't really thought about it. So yeah, we came up with 5 girl names and 5 boy names that we love but will definitely not be using. And it was also a little bit difficult because we aren't done having babies, hopefully. So I wanted to make sure not include one that we were going to use just in case. So I put a lot of thought into these, and please don't be offended if you love these names or you named your children these names, because obviously everybody has different tastes in baby names. And yeah, that's my little disclaimer. So let's jump into my top 5 favorite girl names that I love but will not be using. Okay, so the first one is Lily or Lillian. I think we would do Lily if we chose that name, but unfortunately my husband doesn't love it, so we will not be using it. It is my great-grandmother's name, and my mom actually goes by Lily for her grandmother name. She chose that shortly after we found out that we were having Charles, and it would be a little bit confusing if we had a Lily and a little girl that was named Lily and calling her grandma Lily. So that was another reason. We actually talked to my mom about it before she decided to be Lily, and told her that we definitely weren't going to use it and that she should be Lily as her grandma name because it's cute and I love it. So yeah, we love that name, but we will not be using it because my husband does not like it, unfortunately. Okay, so the next name is Emma, and I adore this name, but we know so many little girls, and I mean really girls of any age, women, that are named Emma. It's, I think, like the top most popular name. So we really don't want to use a name that's really common, and that one is, so we decided to not do Emma. We also have a friend that named her daughter Emma Grace, and I think that is so precious. But obviously we wouldn't use that because our friend named her daughter Emma Grace, and that would just be a little bit weird. So we took Emma off the list for a possible girl name. Okay, the next one, I don't really have a good reason for why we're not using it other than it's also a really popular name. It's Sophia. It is one that both my husband and I both like, but again, it's pretty overused and we just decided not to use it. So Sophia is the third girl name that we love, but we will not be using. Okay, this one's pretty funny. I love the name Annabelle or Annabella. I think Annabelle. But my husband says that it makes him think of a cow. He said, if I ever have a cow, I'm going to name it Annabella. So that is off the list now, unfortunately. That was a more recent one. It's one that I liked, but I don't know if we would have actually used it even if he had liked it. So I just wanted to share that one with you guys. Okay, so the last girl name is Charlotte. And for obvious reasons, because we named our son Charles and we call him Charlie, and Charlie is also a nickname for Charlotte, we would not use the name Charlotte. And I also don't really love the idea of calling a girl Charlie as her nickname. It just sounds more masculine to me. I know there's a lot of girls that go by Charlie, but for me, it's just not one that I was crazy about. And I do like the idea of picking your children's nicknames for them because they're going to get a nickname at some point in their life. And I just like having just a little bit of control over that. I'm sure Charles, that we call Charlie, will go by something else at some point in his life. But for now, I like calling him Charlie. So yeah, that's why we are not going to be using the name Charlotte, because we already have a Charles. Okay, let's move on to my favorite boy names that we love but are not going to use. And the first is Levi. And I really like the name Levi. I think it's strong. I think it's a really a short and simple name for a little boy or a man. I think it's good for all ages. And I do like to pick baby names that are going to be good for when they're little and for when they grow into an adult. And I think Levi fits both of those, but it's so overused. And I have a few people in my life that I know have named their children Levi. So we will not be using that name because of that reason. And I feel like I've given that reason a lot because they're popular names, but I don't know, I don't want to use a name that's overdone. So sorry if that's not a good enough reason for you guys, but it is for me. So let's move on to the second boy name. It is Matthew, and we would probably shorten it to Matt if we used it, but it's my cousin's name, and I just feel a little bit weird about naming a baby after my cousin. I mean, we wouldn't be naming the baby after my cousin, but I'm sure that people would think that. I don't know. I just feel a little weird about it. So we would not use the name, even though I do love the name Matthew. I think it's a really handsome name. Okay, so the next name is Connor, and Connor is actually my husband's name. I love the name Connor, and my husband does too, but he has never wanted to name a son after him. He didn't really give a good reason why. He wants his son to have his own name, and that's why we will not be using the name Connor. The next boy name that we love but are not going to be using is Andrew. And I really like the name Andrew, but Connor's best friend and roommate from college is named Andrew, and I cannot give him a bigger head than he already has and name a child after him, so we will not be using Andrew. Andrew, if you're watching this, then I'm so sorry, but we're not going to have a baby named after you, even though I love your name. Okay, so the last name I saved because it's one of my favorite names. It's a family name. It's my husband's middle name and my mother-in-law's maiden name. It's Carlisle, and I love that name. I think it's so sweet, and it's just a special name to us. We're really close with the Carlisle side of the family, and I think it's a cute, like, Southern name. But the only reason we will not be using it is because it would be shortened to Carl, and my husband and I hate the name Carl, so we would not use it as a first name. We also thought about using it for a girl, but then it would probably be shortened to Carly, and I'm not really crazy about the name Carly either, so we will not be using Carlisle as a name. So that wraps up my top 10 favorite baby names that I love, but we will not be using. I hope you enjoyed, and don't forget to like if you did, and subscribe down below so that you will see my future videos. I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.